Hey guys, it's Bianca and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about the topic of racism, children, and Nickelodeon. There have been a lot of protests against police brutality because of the murder of George Floyd. And to show their solidarity for the movement, Nickelodeon, along with a number of other programs, went off air for 8 minutes and 46 seconds in support of Black Lives Matter movement. And there has been some controversy because Nickelodeon put a commercial for 8 minutes and 46 seconds of a black screen with the words "I can't breathe" and some breathing that kind of sounds like wheezing of a person who I'm guessing cannot breathe. That was one version that Nickelodeon was showing, and the other one was of the Declaration of Kids' Rights, which was just an orange screen with the words for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So they either received one of those. And as far as the "I Can't Breathe" commercial, it was actually something that Viacom came up with, and Nickelodeon was just showing it on some of their channels. So there's been controversy of this because some people think that it was too scary for the young children who view Nickelodeon. People think that they're too young to be learning about it in this graphic, quote-unquote, of a way. And people were just unhappy with the way that Nickelodeon chose to portray their support of the movement on their television show. And some people were actually just angry at the fact that Nickelodeon is showing any sort of support for it at all. They're arguing that this is an entertainment show, they shouldn't be being political, even though I don't think that Black Lives Matter is about politics at all. But they think they shouldn't be showing anything about the news or being political in any sort of way. So I'm gonna be voicing my opinion about this, and yeah, basically just what I think about it. So, to start, first and foremost, on the complaint that this was too scary for children, I think that parents knew what was going on, and if their child was scared, they should have been supervising them and turn the television off. I think that watching it for the first time, I was not scared, like I'm a 20-year-old. I was a bit like, oh, this isn't what I expected. Just because you wouldn't think that something as simple as just a black screen with the words "I can't breathe" and breathing would be kind of scary, but it is. But I don't think that's any reason that Nickelodeon should not have shown it. I think that their audience is young, but again, it's up to parents to regulate what their children are watching, and if they're scared, they can just change the channel. As far as this being too graphic for young children, I don't know if it's too graphic. What I think this ultimately leads to is the question that I posed at the beginning of this video, is when should kids learn about racism? In my own experience, the earliest memory I have of learning about racism is in 4th grade when we were talking about history and we learned about the Ku Klux Klan. I remember this, I have a pretty good memory, but I remember this very explicitly because I just remember the words KKK, going home asking my parents, my grandparents, about hey, we learned about the Ku Klux Klan and races that hated black people. And that's really weird. I was 9 years old, so definitely I was still watching Nickelodeon at that time. And I think that learning about something like the Ku Klux Klan, which is a white supremacist group that hated, tortured, lynched black people, is way more explicit than a video of somebody breathing on a television screen. And I recognize that the argument here could be that I learned about the Ku Klux Klan while I was in school, being educated, and that Nickelodeon isn't there to be an educator and it's instead there to be a source of entertainment for children. But I think that anything that we're watching on television is a form of education of some sort. And that because Nickelodeon is such a huge platform, that it's only expected for them to try to teach kids about some social issues, especially ones that are this huge. And as far as it being political, I don't think that showing support of people who have been killed is political in any sort of way. I think that it's showing education and respect, and because it's their corporation, they can do what they want to. And I think that's just something that's really annoying me. It's like, you don't have to be a Democrat or a liberal to support Black Lives Matter. I think it's something that's bigger than any two parties. And when we're saying things like Nickelodeon is just showing that they're liberal or things like that, I really don't know what the purpose of this is, because this is an issue about human rights, not something, I don't know. This is a human rights issue, a human issue about lives, and I don't really understand why we're trying to just make this a battle of ideologies. And do I think that was too young? I don't think so. I think it's important for children to understand. Learning about that, did it scare me? I think it did scare me a bit. I think it miffed me and made me kind of question, like, why do these people hate people that look like me? Why do they exist? Which is a answer that no one really has a definite answer to, because they're hateful, but I think it opened up a discussion for me to learn about more serious things that are happening in the world. And I think that that's a problem that many adults have, is that they don't believe in a child's capacity for learning about serious topics. And I think that they all have it. So with Nickelodeon introducing this I Can't Breathe, what it did was kind of force the topic of racism onto parents. Either they and their children sat there and watched it, and they were able to use this as a learning tool for them to explain to their children what was going on in the world right now. I can see why some people or some children wouldn't know what's going on in the world. It's easy enough to just not turn on the news. I'm assuming children don't really watch the news frequently, so I'm sure they wouldn't know that there have been protests across dozens of cities and looting and just uproars and confrontations with police. I'm sure that they don't know that this is going on. And if their parents want them to continue to be ignorant of these things, it's a simple enough solution to just turn it off. But I do think what Nickelodeon kind of tried to do was like force a conversation into the households of people. And I think if you're like 2 years old and you're watching Nickelodeon and this comes on, you'll probably be a little scared and you'll ask what's going on, and that's an opportunity for parents to explain it if they want to, or to not. But I don't think people that are watching Nickelodeon are too young to know about the truth. Black kids probably know about it more, and I think they need to know about it because it's something that's happening to their people. And I don't know if like other races want to shield their kids from it because they think they're too young, but it's reality. Obviously, you can't tell a parent what to do, and like, I'm not saying I don't care what people do with their own children, but I don't think education is ever wrong or ever something that's too early to learn about. Like, we learned about slavery probably around 4th grade too, and it's pretty graphic. As far as the commercial being too graphic, I don't think it was too graphic. It was just breathing, which he couldn't breathe. This was to show that this is a reality. And I just think that the biggest criticism I have for people who don't like the commercial is that they're saying this is adults' business, children have no right to know this, but all children eventually become adults. And when you see things like racism, like, it usually starts as a child. So I think it's best to teach kids about tolerance and about the things that are going on around the world when they're younger. So I don't really understand. I don't think racism is adult business. I think that it's everyone's business, because the adults are not the only people being affected by it. People that are criticizing Nick, I think just take your criticism somewhere else. If this opened the conversation for people to have in their households, then that's a good thing. If you didn't like it, turn the TV off. That's honestly all I have to say. I became aware of this because I don't watch Nickelodeon. I'm an adult. My brother is 13 years old. He doesn't watch Nick anymore. But I saw it on Twitter, and it was a tweet that said, "Nickelodeon, why'd you do this? My son is so scared." And she recorded her son watching it, being scared, which I think was kind of just for attention, because if he was scared, he would just turn it off. I think for people saying like, "Why'd you do this?" I think that's just a little selfish. There's bigger things going on in the world that you don't need to criticize a corporation for trying to show solidarity with a group that's being beaten down and killed right now. So I would just say, like, gotta think more about your actions before you take to Twitter in your angry storm. But I do think this is kind of just being blown out of proportion. All the time, I think there's just so many more things that are worthy of our attention, and we just stick on the little things like a commercial. Get over it. That's honestly what I think. But again, like, this is just my opinion. I love hearing other people's opinions. So if you don't agree, if you think there is a too young of an age for kids to learn about racism, comment down below what you think. If you're a parent, I'm not a parent, but if you're a parent, if you thought this commercial was too explicit for your child, like, tell me why you think that. If this opened up conversation, I'd love to hear about that as well. Because like I said, I'm not a million people, I'm just me, and a lot of these topics that I talk about, I don't have like all the experiences in mind that I can give to all sides of the opinion. So I like hearing what you guys have to say. And as always, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you want me to talk about something else, just tell me in the comments below.